What's going on YouTube? Welcome back. This is the third in a series of 3 on red dot pistols. This will be dealing with how to master the red dot and begin shooting fluently. Are you ready? Stand by. So by now, if you haven't seen the other 2 videos, you might go back and do that. If you have watched those, you've either built your red dot gun or are thinking about building a red dot gun. You're curious what kind of learning curve you're getting into, so that's what we're here to address right now. Now, all of this will basically stem from your index, your grip, your stance, obviously your trigger pull, but how we can kind of mitigate all that sets you up for success. So we're gonna break down some drills that you can do to gain fluency, and the good news is that most of this is done in dry fire, so before you even head to the range, you're gonna have a leg up on adopting the red dot. But before you really start doing a lot of practicing, if your pistol has backup irons, like this pistol does, an easy way to zero it is going to be to put the red dot on the top of the front sight post. That is a good rough zero. You're still going to want to go to the range and zero your pistol, because nothing is more critical with the red dot optic gun than having a zero that you trust. If you don't have backup irons, then you're just going to have to go to the range and zero it. How do you zero a red dot pistol? If you cannot fire a good group at 10 yards, then you're gonna have to pay somebody to zero it for you. So what I tend to do is I will fire 3 good shots at 10 yards and I will see how they're grouping. Most red dot pistols, the adjustment knobs are a 1 MOA click. So at 10 yards, roughly 10 clicks is going to be an inch of movement. If my impacts are to the left of the center of where I am aiming, then I need to dial in right. So if I'm 1 inch to the right of what I'm aiming at, I'm going to need to dial in 10 clicks of left to get it to hit what I'm shooting at. Similarly, if I am 1 inch high, I'm going to have to dial in 10 clicks of down onto my optic to make that adjustment. So fire 3 good shots, make the adjustments you need both horizontally and vertically to try and walk it in. Fire 3 good shots to confirm, again at 10 yards. If those look roughly at your point of aim, send the target back to 20 or 25 yards. Do the same thing again. Try and fire 3 or so good shots just to confirm that you're in the right ballpark. Now, if you can't shoot at 20 or 25 yards, it may be worth having somebody else do it for you, bag resting the gun, or paying somebody to do it for you. You have to have utter confidence that your zero is good on your pistol. But once that's done, now you can start establishing your index. So back in your own dry fire dojo, we're going to take a pistol, we are going to verify that it is unloaded, and then we can begin dry firing. Guys, the purpose of doing all this silliness is to build in safe habits, because we're trying to stay safe. I don't want you walking around with dark secrets, and I certainly don't want you damaging property, yourself or somebody else, by showing how good your memory is that your pistol's unloaded. So always, always, always before dry firing, validate that the chamber is empty. Once that's done, the very first thing you're going to need to be able to do is to present the gun from the holster with the sights basically in alignment so that the dot is centered on the screen. So the first time that you actually go to aim the pistol, you're probably not going to have the dot anywhere close. You're going to be doing this, trying to get the dot on the screen. Once you actually get it on the screen, you might go back and watch my video on grip that I've done. It will help you tremendously. But you want to look at that dot, get the sights basically in alignment, and just look at it. Now, take notice of what you're feeling in your arms, take notice of the position of your elbow, feel the tension in your shoulders, feel the tension in your core if there's any. Just feel everything about how you're aiming this pistol, and just sit here and do it until it starts to get tired and you're just looking at this dot, and just remember what your arms feel like as you do this. It may take 30 seconds, it may take a minute. Just keep doing it, just keep feeling it, and just thinking, this is what it looks like when my sight is aligned and the dot's on the screen. Once you have a good inventory of what that feels like, we can start to work backwards from the holster. So now when you're coming out of the holster, you don't even need a timer and you don't even need to break shots. You're just gonna get the dot on the screen aimed at something. You can use a light switch cover, a electrical plate cover, scaled dry fire target is fine, a piece of tape on your wall across the room, any of that's fine to aim at. You're just trying to aim at something. Now, remember, we do not look at the dot, we look at the target, and we put the dot on the target where we want to hit. I don't care what James Yeager says about looking at dots to make precise shots. He is wrong. Look at the target, put the dot over it, break the shot. That's how you use a red dot. So now that you know what it feels like, we're going to come out of the holster and present the gun. Now what you should see is that as you come on the target, hopefully you'll start to pick up the dot around right here as you look at the target. I can start to see the dot if I'm looking at the target right about here. I can start to see it, so when I come up, it's right there, it's on the target. But just looking at the target, I can start to see it in my peripheral depending on how bright the dot is coming up there. So that's what you're going to do over and over again, and you're just going to present trying to get the dot on the target. And I'm not talking about like on the right edge of the target, like as close to center of the target as you can get. And it's going to take probably 5 minutes of this a day for a week or so before you really start to get dialed in. And as you just keep doing it over and over and over again, and you're presenting the dot every single time where it's on the screen, where it's on the screen and aimed at what you're actually aiming at, then the next piece is going to be with the gun already out in your hand. You're just going to step forward and do that. So that just not from the holster, but just with the gun up, you can present the pistol and get the sights on target. Now, once you can do that, you have a good, this is called an index. We have a natural point of aim. Everything we can look with our eyes and bring the gun over, and the dot is going to go wherever it is we're looking. That's what we want. And when you're doing your transitions, you're just going to look with your eyes and then bring the gun over to what you're looking at. And that's how we're going to swing the gun. So as you're swinging the gun back and forth, you're going to see that the dot is showing up on the target where you want it to go. When you start to be able to do that, you're going to start to gain fluency. So when we go to the range, what are some good drills we can do in live fire? If you're lucky and you have a range that you can shoot from the holster, well, just start working from the holster at various distances, just doing 1 and 2 shot drills from the holster. That's going to be good to confirm your natural point aim, and it's going to be good to get used to seeing what you need to see to make hits at different distances. Don't just do it at 5 yards and 7 yards. A lot of indoor range guys like to only shoot at like 7 and 10 yards because they like to hold those tight groups. Really test yourself, stretch it out, run it all the way to the back of the range, see what you can do. Shoot at 20, shoot at 15. I would say typically don't shoot any closer than 10 if you can help it. Another great drill is the Ben Steger Devil's Drill. And all that's going to be is with a USPSA metric target, IDPA target, whatever. You're just going to put the dot in the center of it and you're going to run the trigger twice. So you're going to run the trigger twice as fast as you can, or as is appropriate that you can guarantee alpha hits at that range. You're going to watch the dot jump up and down. And you're just going to watch it come up and down. And eventually you're going to learn that you can just time it as it's coming back down to make that second hit in the A zone. If the dot's not tracking straight up and down, that's telling you your grip is imbalanced. You're going to have to kind of tweak your grip, and that takes ammo. Unfortunately, there's no shortcut around that, but you're just going to have to pay attention to what the gun is doing as you fire it and try and get the dot to track straight up and down so that you can break the shot when the dot comes back down. Another thing you may notice is that as the gun, if the dot is leaving the screen, that means your stance is not aggressive enough. So really kind of lean into the gun. On a Delta Point Pro, the dot shouldn't really leave the screen. And if it does, it should snap right back down. If the dot's coming up and then coming down off the screen, you've got major issues. The more aggressive stance you have, the more the dot is going to stay on the window. And that's what you want. You want to observe the dot tracking straight up and down, and you don't really want it to leave your screen. Similarly, if you take video of yourself, and this is what it looks like when you shoot, it's bang, and you pull it back down, bang, you pull it back down. You're aiming the gun, you're pulling it back down to aim on follow-up shots. You need to learn how to drive the gun. You're gonna have to man up and press down real hard right there, pull in real tight right there, so that the gun automatically is just gonna cycle and go back into battery every single time. So what you're looking for is being able to put enough beam behind the gun that's gonna slide just cycles like that, and it comes back to where you're aiming. That's how you're going to learn how to shoot fast with the dot. There's nothing magical about the red dot. It is going to help you aim at things far away a lot faster than traditional irons are going to let you, but it's not magic. It's going to show you when you have a bad trigger pull, the sight is going to, you're going to see the little dot go off to the left and then lift straight up. So as you're shooting these drills, another thing that you're going to start to notice is watch what the dot does as you pull the trigger. As you pull the trigger, it may move to the left and then jump straight up and leave the window. That means you've just yanked a shot to the left. Wherever the dot moves to and then lifts up in recoil, that is where the shot went on the target, provided that you have a good zero. So if you're shooting and you can see it just go to the C zone on the target and go straight up, you may have got an alpha, you may have got a Charlie on that. You just have to kind of figure it out and really observe what the dot is doing. But again, we're not focusing on the dot, we're just observing it. We're focusing on our target and we're seeing how the dot is moving on the target. That's called shot calling, and you need to learn how to do it if you want to be fast and you want to be fluent. It took me about 2 or 3 months to get back to my speed that I was at prior to adopting the red dot sight, but it was been well worth it. I am a more proficient shooter now, and I'm grateful for the experience of having actually done this. I think you'll probably find yourself in the same boat if you decide to put in the work. So I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. If you're a dot shooter, let me know what your experience was when you're If you're a dot shooter, let me know what your experience was down in the comments so that other people can kind of read and take heart that it is possible to learn how to shoot faster with the dot. And I am not any slower on close targets than I was with irons. I can shoot just as fast at all distances. You can too if you put in the work, and I think it's worth putting in the work to do. As always, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.